Hi everyone, we've reached part 7, and part 7 is all about performance appraisals. So let's dive right in. Now, as I often say in class, when you see a term that has more than one word in it, if you understand the meaning of each word, you are more likely to understand what the term means, okay? So in this case, we're talking about performance appraisals. So let's define what performance and what appraisal means. So when we're talking about performance, performance is something that you can sometimes measure objectively. So an example is on an assembly line. If somebody is working on an assembly line of making things, you can count how many they get done. If somebody's building a brick wall, you can count how many bricks they do per hour. So that's an example of something that is objective and easily measurable. Okay? So sometimes it's easy to measure performance and find something that is objective, easy to measure. But then there are other things that are subjective. So subjective is about things that, like, is the person nice? Does the person have a pleasant voice? That's not easy to measure. Some people would say having a deep voice is good, and some people would say having a higher voice is good. It's not, you can't measure that. It is simply subjective, and you can't measure nice. It is a subjective measure, okay? So there are some things within performance that are easy to measure, and there are some things that are just not. And that brings me to the term appraisal. What does it mean to have an appraisal? Now, when I explain this to my students, I like to use this example. So I have this amazing Coca-Cola coffee mug. It's very ancient. It's over 100 years old, and it's worth at least 10,000 dirhams. But I'm going to sell it to you for just 2,000 dirhams, my friend. How many of you are thinking to yourself, wow, I'm going to go out and get 2,000 dirhams and take it to Steve right now. I want that coffee mug. It's a bargain for 2,000 dirhams. I'm assuming that most of you are thinking, nah, I'm not going to pay him the 2,000 dirhams until somebody else looks at it and tells me that it really is 100 years old and that it really is worth 10,000 dirhams. Okay? In your world, diamond rings are an example of something that people will take in and have it appraised. So the term appraisal simply means to find the value. So if you put it together, a performance appraisal is trying to find the value of your employees, finding out what value they bring to the company. There are many types of performance appraisals. For the purpose of this class, we're only going to look at 2, okay? And the first type that we're going to look at is what's called the graphic rating scale. The graphic rating scale is typically a 1 to 5 rating scale. So with 1 being very bad and 5 being awesome. And they'll use this on many different criteria. If you want to understand what graphic rating scale is, the class evaluations that you do for the university is a good example of graphic rating scale. So you are asked a bunch of questions about your teachers and about your class, and it gives you everything from very bad 1 to very good 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so that's what a graphic rating scale is. Graphic rating scale is one of the most common methods human resource departments use. We use it here at UAU, obviously with your evaluations. I know many of my friends work at companies that use graphic rating scale. What's good about it is that it is structured. So just as structured interviews are good, graphic rating scale is good because it is structured. You ask everybody the same, everybody is evaluated on the same criteria. Yay. And so that makes it more objective. It is bad because it often doesn't tell the whole story. So if there's something, if somebody is awesome in one area, but bad in some other areas, that person on average may not look good. But if what that person is awesome in overshadows everything that they're not good in, then that's an employee you want to keep. You want to help them in the other areas. But anyhow, the bottom line is that it is overall the most common that I'm aware of method for performance appraisals, and there's good and bad to it. The other type of evaluation that I'm going to talk about is what's called 360-degree evaluation. A 360-degree evaluation is when you get evaluations from your manager, your coworkers, your subordinates, which the word subordinate simply means the people who are below you. And if you're in anything where you deal with people, they'll even get appraisals from your customers, okay? Now, I know of several people who work at companies that do 360-degree evaluations. I have personally never worked at a company that has this. I've never worked at a place that does. But one of my best friends in America works at a company that has 360-degree evaluations. And he points out that what is good about it is that with a 360-degree evaluation, you are seeing everybody around the employee, which is great. That's, you learn more information about the employee than you will using graphic rating scale, for example. On a personal note, I wish we had 360-degree evaluations at the last place I was working at. Because at the last place I was working at in America, the last place I was teaching, I had a manager who honestly didn't understand much of what I did. And so if I had a 360-degree evaluation and he was reading what my students said about me, what my coworkers were saying about me, then he would have a better picture of what I was actually doing. So I think 360-degree evaluation is good. I appreciate it. The negative to it, according to my friends who work at places that have 360-degree evaluations, is that it can be very time-consuming. So again, my good friend talks about how it takes him 2 months to gather all the information that is necessary. Other points on performance appraisals. There are many other types of performance appraisals. Like the book goes into the behaviorally anchored rating scale. I've talked to dozens of people in the UAE in the time I've been here. I have not heard of anybody who uses that. And so I'm not teaching it because it's not being used as far as I know. And also there are many types of errors that can be made in performance evaluations. And for both of these things, learning about other evaluations and other types of errors, I'm going to leave it to you to take the human resources class, and then you can learn more about them. So congratulations. We've covered everything that you need to know about performance appraisals, performance evaluations. Oh, by the way, so the word appraisal and evaluation, those two words can be used interchangeably. Again, I realize when I'm teaching non-native English speakers that when I use the word evaluation and then use the word appraisal, some of you may be like, which is it, evaluation or appraisal? They really mean the same thing, so don't worry about it. Anyhow, that's it for here. Take care. Bye-bye.